Welcome back to Nuzlocke Vlogs. How's it going? A couple days ago, I had a crash out. Not a crash out. It was just I on a whim decided to throw my Y run, and I'm not sure why, but we're doing randomized Heartgold now. So we're doing randomized Heartgold, and what are my things I can put in my name? I could steal the name of a commenter because I've got a lot of them. Is that weird for me to, instead of just having a Pokemon as my name, have a commenter's name? Sure. Jaden, 3011, you commented on my Homestuck video, so now you're the protagonist of this Nuzlocke. Someone probably are Someone probably already mentioned it in the chat while this was premiering. I do actually believe, but actually do know he could have taken him. This is referring to Equius could have defeated Gamzee. Well, the Homestuck books from Viz were releasing. Actually, yeah, I know the commentary. Hussey said in commentary, Equius could have just flexed his neck a little bit. String broke from his strength. Equius didn't die just because. Equus did not die. Oh god, I got my monitor in a weird place right now. Equus did not just die because he was unable to be a hero. He did because when the chips were down and he had all the advantage in the world, his troll racism was so exceedingly pathological that he couldn't even muster the energy to do it. Yeah, that's a good take on Equus and what I say in that video that came out like 10 days ago. Yeah, Equius, God, he sucks so hard. Equius sucks, and he could have fought Gamzee, but he didn't. Like, my whole point in that is, like, that video, a lot of it is just recapping and, like, putting in perspective, like, how these characters work, what the story is trying to tell with them, what the themes of them are. And the theme with Equius is he had the strength and the physical capabilities to be a hero and shit, but he's just a fucking racist asshole. He just can't. He could have fought Gamzee, but he didn't even try because that would require undermining this racial hierarchy that he puts all of his self worth in. His self worth and his I explain it better in the video. I'm so much more articulate in my YouTube videos when I've actually read something out. We got another commenter here. Concept of Love, which is I fuck with this vid, but I don't entirely agree on the stance that Eridan's character ran choice. I don't think he should have been redeemed, but especially going off the commentaries, I don't think he was written with all that much depth beyond shitty loser that is shitty and dies, which on the face of it is fine. I don't begrudge authors for writing characters that are meant to be bad people, but I think my issue with characters like Eridan isn't that they lack pathos or redeemable qualities, but that it feels like they're just on screen to be shitty rather than shitty in an interesting way. I do think Eridan is shitty in an interesting way. Concept of love, like Eridan, he's a very realistic, like this entitled guy who thinks he's better than other people and he's owed love. I think that's interesting. It's fine because I feel like the section on Equius details exactly why I think Eridan's character lacks to me, not making you empathize with his actions, but making how shitty he is all the more thought provoking. I agree with the sentiment that the characters aren't made to be people. Oh, Wingle, yay. Gotta kill it. Are made to be people, but characters are still written to be at least analogous to humans in some form or fashion, trying to look at two screens at once. And I don't really believe Eridan functions in that manner when most of his dialogue just accounts to him just being a shithead. Again, I don't wish to say that Eridan needed to be forgiven or became a good person or anything like that, but I think the comic had an interesting opportunity to take his death and use it as a way to spur him down a darker, more interesting direction rather than just turning him into a sprite with sulks. I do think, yeah, I don't really care. Why aren't you healing? Oh, right, Elm heals in this game. I don't think, like, Solix after his death is really interesting with him just fused into Aerosol. I think that's one of the weaker fusion sprites, and I mean, to be fair, they're the fusion sprites, so saying one of the weaker ones, that's saying something, because they're all pretty weak. But yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Eridan I do think Ecrius is a much more complex and multifaceted character than Aridin. Aridin's kind of just a dick. I do think he works as a character and just like raising the tension as this. Well, that's the whole point of this video, that these are minor characters. They are minor. They're not that important, but they do make the story better by their presence and the small amounts of complexities they have. Yeah. And you know, in that video, like while writing it, I was like, am I being too hard on the Homestuck fans? And with like the touch grass, grow up, these aren't real people. They're drawings. It doesn't matter if something bad happens to them. What matters is how it works as a story and the emotions you feel. And I'm like, am I being too mean in saying that? And then I got a bunch of comments that were like, man, I always hated Hussey because Hussey like killed off Pfeffrey and Airden. I'm like, no, I was completely right. You are children. You do deserve mockery. I was right to tell you to grow up. Most of my commenters were better than that. But there are some dum-dums in the comments that deserve a little bit of derision. Not like that much, but the Homestuck fandom sucks. It does suck a bit. Homestuck fans suck. Why am I so invested in this fandom when I think that the fandom is so just toxic? I don't know. Alright, we don't get into trainer battles, and I don't care about your apricorns or apricots or whatever they're fucking called. I don't care. I'm just playing through the early game, not really talking about it. We got a Starly, that's nice. I think that's better than Zubat, and like problem with choice band. What's your ability? Low attack, or is the red good or bad one? I don't know which one. I think red's the bad one, so that's kind of bad, but Serene Grace and choice band, that's good. Do you get body slam? I'm not sure. But yeah, that's good. So something I realized, I started talking about it before crashing out and like throwing my run a few days ago. I was saying like it's interesting when stories, they aren't planned to end at the point they end, but they end up having really poignant endings just by coincidence. And I was talking about it in the context of Heart Traveling Heroes, which I'm rereading to do a video on it. And man, I got mixed feelings on that story. There's some, wow, this is really good. Even in 2026, really meaningful and has a lot to say. And some of the times I'm reading that and I'm like, man, this is not aged well 56 years later. But anyway, what I was saying, I really, really liked the final issue of that story that got cut short because it was canceled. And please don't have the yellow kid. Okay, you've got the never mind, that's not a problem. Like, how the like final scene in it is there's this story where Hal's former employer, Ferris Air, where his girlfriend owns, they've got this shitty jet that's destroying the environment, and there's like this protester, and like a guy murders him brutally, and it's just horrible. And like Hal pretty much breaks up with Carol. I don't know if they actually broke up. I haven't read later Green Lantern issues, but what was I saying? I should have named him after a commenter. Duh. I just mashed A because I couldn't think of something to name him. But like anyway, the final scene of Heart Traveling Heroes, where there's this whole story of like Ollie's the more radical one. Ollie's the one who's quick to jump to violence or get angry or just smash it. And oh cool, you've got to Manaphy. Good for you. Just walking around with your like fucking tail. Oh yeah, tail glow just to show off, not even to injure, just to like front on the Zigzagoon and brag. But anyway, like it ends with Hal just gets pissed and blows up $1 billion jet out of spite, which is the type of shit Ollie would do. And it's this whole story of Hal trying to figure out what type of hero he wants to be, and he doesn't really know. But at the end, he still doesn't know, but he's been changed. He wouldn't have blown up that jet at the start of the series. He's learned and become more like Ollie over like everything that's going on. And I'll explain this better in the actual video, but we got comment. I've got so many comments, so I'm trying to find the good ones to read. blah blah blah. Not gonna do that comments where it's like Aridin did nothing wrong because watch the video. Psychogenic Fugue. That's a good one for my. It's so hard to get a good moveset on Smeargle in game. I can probably make something cool if I use it, but it's got bad stats. I don't think I'll use Smeargle. I should pull that comment up though. Psychogenic. It's just gonna be psychogenic, not the fugue. Or Psychogenny. Psychogenny's a cool name. Psychogenic Fugue says, my mind constantly alternates between these characters are all deeply complex and interesting, and these characters are severely underdeveloped, half-assed and one-dimensional gags who only exist to either kill or be killed to inflate artificial tension. Aridin is a tragic character defined by his hyperneurotic obsession, Equus. They have the two assholes both start with E. Equus is a tragic character defined by his hyperneurotic obsession with strength and stoicism to fulfill societal expectations of what is considered normal for him because he's aware of how deeply abnormal and weird he is, despite how much he wants to. Actually, I should have picked up on that Equus is like trying to be normal and not this big, strong weirdo. Despite how much he wants to be gentle and to be free from the burden of his own strength. Equus is also a character who just, well, it wouldn't be funny if one of the trolls loved Horsebara. Nepaz is an isolated girl who is obsessed with romance and friendships because no one takes seriously or wants to be friends with because they project these inaccurate assumptions of what she's really like onto her, causing her to latch onto anybody who will offer to be her companion regardless of how healthy it is. Nepal is also, lol, wouldn't it be funny if one of the trolls was a cat girl roleplay shipper? Aridin is this violent, unstable wreck whose entire existence has been defined by murder by proxy and is desperate wants to be loved in spite of his severe interpersonal issues because the only other coping mechanism for his insecurity is being indoctrinated into the fascist ideology and forced to his bloodcast. Aridin is also, well, wouldn't it be funny if one of the trolls was an incel? Pfeffer is a girl burdened by an insurmountable amount of pressure thanks to her responsibilities as heir to the Alternian throne and craves a life where she can be freed from the stress and tries to actualize a world and a life where she can finally be free and just relax for once in her life. Pfeffer is also, fuck, I ran out of ideas for gag character shit. What do I do? Blah, 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 bubbly and upbeat, and she has an unhealthy, blah, 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 racist. Damn, you know this, you understand this comic better than me, Psychogenic. Every time I try analyzing these characters, I feel myself projecting things onto them that don't actually exist in the text because they're given so little screen time to the point where they're not really characters, more so suggestions of characters. They don't have arcs, but the suggestions of arcs. I don't like the argument they're just side characters because they're not good as side characters. Solix, Arati, and Tavros are examples of side characters done right. These four just feel like total afterthoughts because Hussey was too committed to the 12 Trolls star sign aesthetic. I'm currently working on a video where I have a section talking about Aridin in depth for like over 20 minutes straight, and the whole time I'm thinking, this is just me reading too deep into a character who the narrative does not take seriously beyond being an obnoxious, whiny, bigoted douche. This section is stupid. Aridin is a mediocre character, and I'm stupid for trying to analyze him. You put it better than I could. That's just really well done. Analysis of these characters and Homestuck as a story. I don't have anything to add besides well done, and let's get to another. Homestuck fans, for some reason, like things that are long, so they write long-ass rambling comments on all my videos. I don't know what about Homestuck makes them like things that are really long. Okay, and let's do this as the last one before we end this video. I feel like that'll be Sapphic sees 0451. I agree with this whole Aridin bit. Him rejecting growth is a fulfilling arc. The only way him getting any form of growth wouldn't feel forced is if it was similar to what happened to Tavra's sprite, where being combined with Solix's Aerosol sprite forced him to reflect. Also, yes, adored Dave Petta. We adore Dave Petta on this channel. That's what we do on this channel. We adore Dave Petta because Dave Petta is great, and should I do a Dave Petta video? I don't know if they have enough screen time. but it would be cool because they're a great character who I like. But honestly, between talking about Equius and talking about Nepeta and having also talked about Dave's I've probably said everything I can about Dave Peta. But yeah, I do think Aridin. Every time I make a Homestuck video, I realize I'm like a B plus Homestuck student. There are people who understand all of this so much better than me, who have so much more interesting and well put out things to say. But I'm the one who makes the video, so I get the views and all the people saying I'm awesome. Like, I don't get Homestuck as well as some people. People understand it better than me. And nothing down there. And I should do one more comment. One more comment and fight Youngster Joey with his Rattata that is the top percentage. Yeah, let's a Cleffa. I'm getting a lot of weak Pokemon here. I should also, let me find another good comment. No. No, why is this not working? Okay, and it's just, Google's not working that well with showing me the YouTube comments. Ooh, this is an interesting but short one, which is good because time, especially considering that Arceus, that's not how you spell that name, Arceus would end up becoming the composite known as Lord English, and one step along that path was Dr. Scratch. It should be noted that Arceus ended up helping engineer the racial hierarchy that resulted in his death. That's a good point. That means that, like, the racism in Homestuck is just kind of, like, intrinsic. It's like the racism was invented by a guy who was racist because of the time loop. It's time loop. It exists because the racism time loop. I should do a fucking Lord English video. It's not the next one. I'm not going to say what the next one is, but I already know what character is. I should do a Caliborn / Lord English one. It's just such a fascinating concept for a character. How they don't really delve into this, but essentially Lord English exists because he exists. He's so powerful that he's forced himself into existing. Like, his very existence makes the time loop that makes him exist. What you got on the Sciences? No. I randomized the specialty shops, by the way, so all these have weird things there. But I don't need a Sense. And let's see, what are the starts of my team? Oh, they have items. Electrolyte. Okay, so I could have gotten. Maybe I probably should have taken that. What is TM13? TM13. Hydro Cannon. That's an interesting one. So anyway, I've moved to my new hometown. I'm living in a different town now, working for a different newspaper. And it's going well, and I'm having a good time. I think I'm going to like it here. I was very nervous at first, just being in a new area, figuring it out, but then, like, I've done all these types of stories before. I know what I'm doing. I know how to report on a city council discussing budget. I know how to report on, no, Joey. I know how to report on a school board or on an art gallery. I'm doing good, and I don't think I'll get, like, instantly fired. I think it's gonna be good. Also, like, years ago, like, when I first started out in my previous job at the Sigourney News Review, now closed, one of the first stories I had was they're like, hey, go run, take photos of this fire, this thing that's on fire. I'm like, okay. And running to fire was actually, I'm pretty sure it was the first thing I named one of these Nuzlocke vlogs, because that was what I did. I had to go photograph a fire. And anyway, on my first day, oh, this is a good one. Finding a comment. They had me go out and take photos of a flaming hogbard, and then 2 days later, is there an Alternian word for chud? Because that's Aridin. Yeah, there is. The word is chud because Alternian language is essentially the same as English. But and then I had to, like, photograph, like, a flaming truck on a farm that caught fire, and it was full of ammunition, and the cops were like, don't go near because you'll get shot. Everyone take cover. And then I went up and waited 30 minutes. I went up and took a a photo anyway, and the cop there was not happy with me, but that's fine. Couldn't fit your full name, but you get as a Pichu on the team. I have a lot of weak Pokemon, a lot of babies that are lame, but I've also got the concept of love, and the concept of love is what's gonna win us this Nuzlocke. Yeah. And another electrolyzer. They're just throwing this shit out. Electrolyzers everywhere. Wait, if I get all the electrolyzers, then Silver, or as I named him in this one, if I get all the electrolyzers, then can't get an electrolyzer, which means he can't fully evolve. I gotta hunt down all the electrolyzers to stop that asshole. How do you wake that? I forget how you wake that guy up. I don't know. I'll get to Violet and then I'll end the video with me having 3 more babies because I gotta get the, thanks for the useless thing, 3 more babies because I'm gonna get the Prima eggs. Randomizing doesn't mess that up, does it? I don't know. Talk to you later. I forgot where the stop button is.